Hello and welcome to Beads Jar. My name's Billy and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful Czech O Bead wrap bracelet. I've also put on there one of the Kumihimo clasps to show you how to use those in the design as well. For this wonderful project, we're going to be using these Czech O beads, which I just love. They've got two different sides, one which is like the hot pink rainbow colour and the other which is jet black. We've got a 1mm leather in silver. I'll be using Kwik to attach the ends, my flat nose pliers and a pair of scissors. I've got these 3mm Kumihimo ends which come in a little box, an accessory box. And we're using a 0.6 silk cord to create our fishtail wrap. So we're going to take our metre of leather to start, and we're going to half this exactly in half. So we're going to take the two ends and just run our hands all the way up the leather. And then I'm going to take my clip and board and I'm just going to hook that loop underneath. We've got plenty of cord, so you don't need to worry about not having enough. I've taken the silk off our card as well, and I'm going to allow myself maybe about 20 centimetres. I'm going to loop that underneath my leather and tie a straightforward knot. Very nice and easy. And then as I'm tightening that, I'm just going to take it up towards the bulldog clip. So I've just done a very basic knot on the leather and silk together. Use the Kwik and a tiny drop onto the knot, and this will just keep those together so it doesn't move whilst we're creating our weave. So we're going to put 3 inch of the O beads onto each strand of leather. So you're just going to thread them on. It really does not matter if you're putting them all the same direction or opposite ones, you were just getting them on to the leather. So you're just going to keep going and thread 3 inch of beads onto each strand. I'm just quickly showing you that I am putting them on both strands, but please do put all 3 inch on there. And we'll flick now to the next step in our project. So we've got our 3 inch in the checks. Now we may add some more or we may take some off, but they're on the leather for now. We're not going to need this full length for a bracelet, so unless you're going to do a double wrap, in which case do allow the full length, but for this project I'm going to just do a single. So I'm going to cut that off at, let's say, about 30 centimetres. So I'm just going to trim the excess leather over just to make the process of threading easier. And onto the end of my leathers here, so that the Czech beads don't fall off, I'm going to add a crimp bead. So you just want to pop the crimp bead onto your leather. So I'm just placing that at the end. And with a basic pair of flat nose pliers, I'm going to crush the crimp bead at the end of the leather. So that's not moving, and that'll just stop the beads sliding off the end whilst we're making the bracelet up. So the same on the other strand. So a crimp bead onto the leather and crush that at the end. Perfect. Right, I'm going to move this over now to show you the next part. Let's just bring some of these beads down. So we've got the two strands, the right strand, left hand strand, and our silk. And the process is quite easy. We're going to create a weave. So what you're going to do is take the strand over the top of the right hand leather and underneath the left hand You're going to then move one of the Czech O beads up to that weave on the left hand strand. It's a bit fiddly at the top, but it does get easier as we work down the weave. And then we're going to come over and under the right hand strand. Now instead of moving your cotton around, move the leathers over and under. It'll make the process easier for you. So we've come under now, and we're going to go back over and across and take the right hand leather and drop the O bead down. Come across over the top of the left hand strand and over to the right hand strand and round. And we're pushing up again. So from the left hand strand and then over and across. Drop another O bead down and keep going. So over, under, over. Each time weaving in one of the O beads. So we've reached the end of our weave for the length that I required for the bracelet. I'm going to add about 2 centimeters with my fastener as well. So when I've allowed to add that extra in on the measurement around my wrist. So I'm at the bottom here of the project and I'm going to loop the silk around. So I'm making a loop and I'm going to come back through. On myself. And I'm going to pull that knot really nice and tight in. So I've sealed the end. And we're going to go back to our Kwik, a drop here. And then I'm going to just make sure that I'm happy with how spread out the beads are. And then we'll put the fastenings right on. So a tiny drop of glue here. I'm going to leave that to set and I'm just going to unhook this end. And then I just want to make sure I'm happy with the spacing between all my beads. You might just want to run your fingers over them and position them correctly so that you're happy with how the spacing is between the O beads to give us this fantastic bracelet. Go back to our loop end while the other end's still drying. And we're going to be putting this end into one of our Kumihimos. So I'm going to cut the leather loop off about there, but before I do that I'm going to wrap my silk around. In order to do that I'm going to put some more glue on our ends. So I know the leather's not together here. I'm just going to run a bit of glue along it. And with my silk, I'm going to wrap a coil of silk around the leather. And I want about 5mm coil. Okay. Now I've done my coil, another drop of glue. Blow on the knot and let that set. It should take about 2 minutes. So I'm letting that end set, and we'll go back to this side and we'll do the same here. So we're going to create our coil wrap here. This stuff's really good, it sets quick, so move that away and we'll come back to this end. So I'm going to take that piece of silk off because I don't need that anymore. And I'm taking the leather off as we don't need that either. And this is going to go into my end. Now it should be a bit tight, which this one is. If you're really struggling with getting that on, you can use your pliers to just squeeze down. It may be you've just got a lump of glue that's dried harder in some place than the other. And when you're happy that that's going to slide in easily to the Kumihimo end, so I'm just, well, not easily, but you don't want it to be too tough, so that's pretty much perfect for how I want it. You're then going to put your dab of glue into the Kumihimo end and secure that end. I'm just twisting the cap on so I'm confident that that's not going to go anywhere. So that's pretty secure now. And then the other side, we're doing the same. So that's going to give me these beautiful tidy ends with the Kumihimo ends on there as well. And then we can move on to putting our fastener on. So we've got the ends. And I'm going to reach for the toggle clasps. Using the oval jump rings that are provided in the pack, you're going to push one side of the ring away from you and bring one towards you. You can use another pair of pliers if it's easier as well, and then you're going to hook that onto the end of the Kumihimo and one side of the toggle clasp. Close that back together and make sure there's no gap when the jump rings sealed together again. One end done. On the other side, you're going to put the toggle. So we're going to open the jump ring the same way onto the Kumihimo end and the toggle clasp there as well. And then close that back together. And that is your fab bracelet finished. We hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. If you have, give us a big like, also share and then subscribe. We regularly put our new tutorials on, so you've got new inspirational ideas. Until next time, bye!